Hello and welcome to episode 45 of the Fish Tank. So 45 is 9-5. So if you're at work today watching the Fish Tank and you're perhaps working 9 till 5, as the Dolly Parton song went, then if you multiply the two numbers together, the hours of your work, then you might end up with the number 45. So if you're just watching at home, then it's just episode 45. So as it is if you're watching it at work, you don't get a different episode number if you're watching it at work or anything. So I actually had an interesting comment about why the Fish Tank is so called, because they said that one of the lads, Emil, who's at university with me, he said that watching the Fish Tank on a sort of glass panel screen probably replicates the same way in which a fish would look out of a fish tank, because the fish tank has got like a solid glass panel on it. So solid rectangular panel, that's what it's all about. That's the message on this week's Fish Tank. Look out for those solid rectangular panels. So it's time for Apology of the Week, and this week I'd like to apologise. On last week's show I suggested that the tank that I recorded episode 28 on was stolen. So apparently it's not been stolen, so apologies to the sort of 4 or 5 people who took that a little bit too literally and thought it had been stolen. Particularly to the superintendent, sorry, was just a mistake, just a joke like. So, sorry about that. That's what it is. So what's been going on in the news what's been going on this week? Well, I had a car accident last Wednesday. My first ever car accident. It wasn't a serious one. I'm perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with me. Like just a minor bump, but my life flashed before my eyes while I had this crash. I've had a fairly boring life so far by the looks of it, but that's the way it is sometimes. It might get a bit exciting later on in life. You never know. But yeah, it was only a minor bump, but that's the way it is. So, but what else has been happening? Well, in the news, the Labour Party has been involved in a big scandal called Donergate, which is obviously putting the word "gate" on the end of what's happening is the popular way of describing scandals. Like when England crashed out of Euro '96 on penalties, it was obviously the Southgate Gate scandal. There are various other things. Yeah, apparently someone's been giving money to the Labour Party, and well, who cares? Basically, it's just putting the word "gate" on the end of things. Annoys me quite a bit. I mean, what if there's a scandal about gates, or another Watergate scandal? So yeah, of course, BBC earlier on in the year were involved in the Kittengate scandal, where they gave the name of a kitten a name that wasn't actually voted for by viewers. Which, to be fair, I mean, they had to give it the fake name because apparently the viewers had chosen the name Mohammed for the name of the kitten, which could have led to far worse consequences. But that's the way it is. Of course, ITV are involved in the we know we've stolen your money, but we're not going to give it back because we're a bunch of thieving bastards gate. So that's just the way it is sometimes. What else has been happening? Well, Harry Redknapp was arrested last week. I think it was last Wednesday morning he got arrested or something like that. It might have been Tuesday. He says it's now ruined his chances of getting the England job. But to be honest, I wouldn't want Harry Redknapp to do it anyway, because the last time we got a ginger-haired Englishman to do the job, perhaps didn't do that well. But there's also been claims about match fixing in sport, so we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure whether things have been, whether football matches have been fixed. I really don't know. So it's time to actually read out a few football results. These are from a week on Thursday's football results. Apparently Manchester United are going to win 4-0 against Aston Villa. So there you go. So it's time for the celebometer as well, and I'd like to get Christopher Biggins onto the show, because apparently he wants I'm a Celeb to get me out of here, so he could come onto the show, explain who he is and what he does. But I didn't watch any of I'm a Celeb to get me out of here, but I did see it on the front of the newspapers where they kept referring to him as Queen of the Jungle, which is a bit harsh. I presume he's gay, but I don't really think it's necessary to make cheap puns out of just because people are gay. It's a bit harsh. Don't know much about him, to be honest. Apparently on his audition for I'm a Celebrity Get Me Out of Here, because he had to test how good he is doing jungle things, he apparently had to build a raft and sort of sail around on the raft and see how good it was. But apparently there was a slight problem with the raft and it malfunctioned and it sunk. And apparently there was a huge look of horror on Ant's face as he went down with both hands on deck. So anyway, it's time for the headline of the week now. And this week's headline, I'm not sure where it comes from, but it says, "Kicking baby considered healthy." So I don't think it is. because it could be damaging to the baby if you start kicking it around in the car park or whatever. And also you could probably, if you're not careful, give yourself a hamstring injury. So, unless you're actually talking about the baby kicking against your chest, which is considered healthy, but possibly not for your insides, if you're just getting a kick from a baby. I don't know. So, the scientists feel. So, it's now time for quote of the week as well. And this one comes from Murdo MacLeod, who's presumably is a Scottish football commentator. Mark Lawrenson, the other week when it was England-Croatia, he was talking about David Beckham and said that Beckham is playing like an American football player. What's that about? But anyway, Murdo MacLeod, anyway, he said, "That's a yard away from being an inch-perfect pass." So, surely it's not. If you're talking about inch perfect, then you've got to be a bit more accurate than giving your measurements as a yard. So it should be, I don't know, you couldn't even call it a 3 foot, saying it's 3 foot away from being an inch perfect pass. You'd have to say it's 36 inches away from being an inch perfect pass, because then you would actually be measuring to the correct inch. So there you go. So that's all for this week. So I'll see you next week. And while I'm thinking, perhaps you could think as well and think, is there another word for thesaurus? Because I've had a look and there isn't one. So there you go, and I'll see you next week for episode 46, which will be my last in Loughborough. Or last in Loughborough until after Christmas. So goodbye. See you then.